Hi, welcome back to Keep It Dirty, a podcast where my guests share their life living functionally and sustainably and the why behind their experiences navigating through our ever-changing environment. I am your host, Leslie Dowling. I'm a corporate speaker sharing how one can jumpstart your path to increase revenue and productivity through restorative health techniques. And today, it's my pleasure to welcome back my fellow practitioners, Salima Ahmad, Susan Connor, Stacy Hirschman, and Linda Stevenson. And we're going to take another deep dive into, have you been led to believe that your genes play a role in health? So it is a pleasure to see everybody. And let's start with Linda.
Thank you, Leslie, and welcome to our coffee chat. Even though we don't have any coffee, we're hoping that this can be very informal, just like a coffee break, and very informative, inspirational, and insightful for you as we share our passions around functional nutrition and lifestyle. We are all FNLPs, functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioners, and we practice through a functional lens, so emphasizing the importance of diet and lifestyle. So what is a functional lens? A functional lens requires a shift from treating symptoms to understanding systems, viewing systems as branches of chronic disease, and discovering personalized root causes. We are root cause connections, connecting the dots for each individual. Unique individual, personalized medicine. So it goes from a disease focus to a health focus based on the balancing and the functioning of all the systems of the body. And this requires to embrace three tenets. A comprehensive context is everything is connected, everything, including the universe that you're sitting in. Everything matters, even what you just had for a snack, maybe. And everyone is unique. We could have the same symptoms and yet have different root causes that were unique to our own history and our own lifestyle and our own nutritional habits. So this shift is really a paradigm shift from treating symptoms to understanding systems. And viewing those symptoms is not ignoring them, but viewing them as branches of chronic disease, which can help us get to the root causes. So from Band-Aids on symptoms to understanding and dealing with root causes. The implications for this is for chronic disease, there is no quick fix, and one size never fits all. The good news is there are three root causes: genes, which we'll be talking more about today, digestion, and inflammation. And the really good news is you can influence your genes through your diet and lifestyle. So your genome is not fixed. It can be impacted by what you're doing every day with nutrition and lifestyle. And the three roots are genes, digestion, and inflammation. And we really do believe deep down in our hearts that everything is connected, everything matters, and everyone is unique. So that's a context for our approach. That's our functional lens. And Stacy's going to start us off with more information about the genes that we talked about at our last podcast.
Yeah, that's great setup, Linda. As you mentioned, we're looking, one of our systems, and the systems thinking is the three roots, many branches, and the three genes, the three roots, genes, digestion, and inflammation, are what we focus on when we're working with clients. So today, talking about the genes, as Linda pointed out, the most important thing to keep in mind is that there are epigenetics at play, and that just means that, as we like to say in the functional realm, the genes load the gun and the environment pulls the trigger. So what we do with our lifestyle, with our dietary practices, actually will influence whether or not certain genes are expressed. So when you're thinking about something like diabetes or blood sugar issues, just because they run in your family, that does not necessarily mean that you're doomed to have these issues yourself. And so around our genes, we talk about our circle of influence and the factors that we can modify to impact the expression of these genes. And those are the food, movement, environment, and mindset. And we touched on those a bit the last time we met. And so today we're really focusing on the food aspect. And when we think about food, there are actually four factors. You know, the food itself has a circle of influence, and that would be the quality, quantity, diversity, and timing of what we eat. So I did kind of touch on the timing aspect when we spoke last, when we were all together. And I did mention a client I was working with who she had high insulin. She's a young, college age young woman. She had really high insulin, and her mom actually does have type 2 diabetes. So in our work together, one of the things that we changed was that she started intermittent fasting, which for her meant shortening her feeding window, because there are different ways to intermittent fast, and one of the most common is to play around with your feeding window. And sorry for my phone. My phone's ringing. Anyway, so she went to a shortened, I'm going to mute because I think this is going to be distracting, and we'll come back to me.
That's what I love about our podcast. We keep it real, we keep it dirty. And who knows, there could be a dog barking. So it's all good. Yeah, but thank you, Stacy. You could come back when you're ready. Let's move on to Sue.
We're done.
Oh, okay, cool. All right,
Sorry
we're back.
about that. I apologize. I just wanted to say, like, the timing being a shortened feeding window, that's one way to change the timing. And yet another way, and we can talk more, we can go more deeply into that, in another podcast episode when we really focus on, one thing at a time. But another way to impact the timing is, or to think about it, is the timing or the order in which you eat certain foods. In other words, from the standpoint of affecting blood sugar, just by changing the order of what you're eating. For instance, starting with the fiber. We always talk about protein, fat, and fiber at every meal so that we can slow that uptake of glucose into our bloodstream and keep our glucose curve flatter so that we don't have those spikes and dips. But starting with the fiber, moving to the protein, and then having whatever carbs we're eating last, that really makes a huge difference in that glucose curve and in keeping it from spiking. So that was the only other thing I wanted to add, and I'll be quiet and let somebody else talk now.
Yeah, so let's see. Sue, we'd love to hear from you.
Right. Thanks, Leslie, and everybody. And just piggybacking off what Stacy was saying, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the diversity and like we're saying about the fat, fiber, protein. Like that's really important for that blood sugar, that we should always have those three at every meal. And the greatest way to get that is to have diversity in your diet. Don't just eat the same things all the time, the same colors, the same everything. If so, the more that you can diversify, the better you're going to be. the higher you're going to get the nutritional value out of all that different food that you're eating. Like, so you really want to have all kinds. We talk about phytonutrients, and there's just so much to it when you have different types of vegetables, different types of fruit, different types of protein and other fiber, like, so you just keep trying to get more diverse. When you're more diverse, it also helps your microbiome or your gut health, right? If your gut is, we want our gut to also be diverse. We want it to have a lot of those good bugs in it. So all these different types of food that we're eating, all this diversity in this food that we're eating is going to feed those bugs. So we really want to focus on that. And I know everybody's probably heard eat the rainbow. That's really what you want to do. You want to look at your plate and go, wow, look at all those colors. And, it's going to just really, the more color you have on your plate, the better. Not Skittles or M&Ms, not those colors. But so, yeah, right, darn it.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so I just really work on that color, that diversity, and I think
Thank you.
moving on.
Yeah. So, Salima, we'd love for you to just share your wealth of wisdom too on this topic.
Okay, so quality and quantity. So just an extension to what Sue and Stacy was talking about. They kind of um, give what's like essentials and a way of maneuvering things. So now if we want to think a little bit deeper and we want to see what else could be influencing our epigenetics with in terms of blood sugar management, and I'm going to start with the quality of your food. It matters what goes in there. Having that beautiful rainbow and to put an extension on that beautiful rainbow and the timing with what you eat now will give you a better framework in managing your blood sugars. So your quality of food, some of the things you want to think about, the very first thing that would come to mind maybe is your nutritional content of your food. Your quality impacts the nutritional content of your food. So where your food comes from matters. Maybe you want to consider buying from your local farmers market because you know your food is fresh. It's coming from local sources rather than some imports that has taken a long time to get to your table. Everybody heard of the, from farm to table concept? I mean, it's well advertised, right? So that would impact your quality of food. When you go to the grocery store, avoid the processed food aisle, anything that comes from boxes. That impacts also the quality of your food and the nutritional content of what you're eating. So in the grocery store, you take a scan, you look to the vegetable section, you look for your greens, you look for your rainbow in the grocery stores. If your pocketbook can allow it, then you can consider organic. And there's also a Dirty Dozen list you may want to consider, maybe one or two of these fruits. And we'll probably talk about those in another podcast. So again, going back to, I want to say, I'm sorry, I lost my trail of thought. Yeah. So we're talking about quality and now quantity. So how much? How much is good? How much is not good? Some of the factors that impact what you eat is your lifestyle, first of all. What are you doing with your time? Are you sedentary? Are you moving? What's your lifestyle looking at? So that's going to matter how much of what you eat. So when you think of your plate, you want to think of your carbohydrates, your protein, and your fats that everybody mentioned before. And you want to pay a little bit more attention to your carbohydrates and your glycemic index foods. Because when it comes to blood sugar, those are the things that spike your glycemic index and your glycemic load. And we'll get into some of those more, in future recording, because that's a big one. That's a big. So how much is consider your whites, your carbs, and your sugars. That's going to play around with your blood sugar. Is it going to spike you? Is it going to cause you to dip? What are the things you want to think about when you look at your plate, when you think about your processed foods? So we have a lot more to add to what I just mentioned in the upcoming episodes.
Yeah, we have a lot. And I wanted to thank everybody just contributing and really just highlighting how our genes play a role in our health and how we could turn that on or off. Um, I also wanted to just share with everybody that we will also be speaking into environmental triggers and how that can offset our hormones with xenoestrogens, xenotoxins, which are plastics that we are ingesting that are microplastics in our bloodstream that can offset our whole body. There are a lot of things that we just don't think about when it comes to our overall health. And that could be not only what we're putting in our mouth, but also what we're putting and ingesting, which is one of our largest organs, the skin. So we're just so excited to share more interesting topics of conversation with my fellow practitioners. So I wanted to thank everybody today. And also, now until the end of November, you could take advantage of 30% off products from Humboldt Healing Hemp Products and enter Keep It Dirty promo code. Humboldt Healing Company's full spectrum hemp oils are whole plant extracts that contain all compounds found naturally occurring in the hemp plant. Humboldt Healing is always USDA certified organic, USA grown and produced, and chemical and pesticide free. And for all our viewers and listeners, please, if you have any questions or you'd like to hear more interesting topics of conversation, you could funnel your questions and DM me on my Instagram, which is East West Functional Training. That's all one word, East West Functional Training. And in the show notes, you'll see other ways that you could contact us or me with any questions regarding our topics of conversations today. And also, if you're enjoying my topics on Keep It Dirty, please show some love, subscribe, rate, and review. And remember, get out there with Mother Earth, maybe take your shoes off and feel the soil under your feet. And remember to keep it dirty. Thanks again.